You grab the mic.
Thank you. What a fantastic film. Congratulations to everybody. The script was so conceptually dense, and couldn't help but think about Shakespearean play and the first starting area, particularly in the limousine, and the way that the light was controlled from, so it created sort of a stage presence within the limousine. And just wondering if you could talk a bit about the writing process of the film.
Writing process. Okay. Well, it was actually, I wrote the script in 6 days, which is a record for me, but that's because I had the novel, and I didn't really even know that I was writing the script. It was quite strange because the producer who first approached me, Paulo Branco, a Portuguese producer, came to Toronto and said, I have the rights to this book. And I said, okay, I know the work of Don DeLillo, but I don't know this book, so I'll read it. And I read it, and I thought it was terrific, and I thought, I need to see, though, if it's really a movie, because I'm not sure it is. There's so much that you can do in novel writing that you can't do in movies. The two forms are really very different from each other. And a lot of what's in Don's novel is interior monologues and so on in the heads of the characters and things that you can't really do in a movie. So I wanted to see if all of that was stripped away, what was left. First of all, was it a movie at all? And secondly, would it be a good movie? And so the first thing, I spent 3 days just transcribing the dialogue from the novel and putting it in screenplay form. And then I spent another 3 days then filling in all the action that would go with that. And at the end of it, I said to myself, okay, is this a movie? And the answer was yes, I think it is. And I think not only is it a movie, but it's going to be a good movie. And I've got the script. It's right here. So all the dialogue is 100% from the novel. I did leave some things out. I did shape some things slightly differently, not much. So it was very unusual. This is not, I've never had this happen before. Screenwriting can, if you write an original screenplay, it can take you a year or 2 years, and even adapting a novel can take a long time. So this was unusual. Anyway, that was the writing process.
So good advice to younger filmmakers, you can get it done in 6 days.
I just want to add that one thing David left out is that the script is not long. There's a lot of people in our business feel, that a script needs to be 1 minute for one page for every minute of screen time, and so a 100-minute movie needs to be 100 pages long, and the scripts tend to be 109 pages because you're going to cut a bit out, and it's going to be a bit longer than that. And I think that's wrong, and I think that David thinks that's wrong. And the script for this movie was about 67 pages long.
I think it was 72 or 3.
Well, I think it was 67 pages, and then we changed the margins, and it became 72 pages. Because no one believed. People said, well, we went about...
that was the other movie.
We went about the business trying to sell the movie, and people said, well, I got the treatment, but I haven't seen the script yet, so I can't really make an offer on the film. So we changed the margins and sent the 72 page.
Yeah, I direct slow, That is to say, you can find scripts that are 130, 140 pages, and often the movies are well over 2 hours. You've seen a lot of movies that are 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 40 minutes. I've never made a movie that was 2 hours long. They've all been shorter. I like to take time with what's on the page. So I don't think of it as a page as a minute. I think of it as pages of a minute and a half or 2 minutes. These are the kind of calculations that you go into. But it's true that people do get nervous. With A Dangerous Method, the script was 77 pages, and the producer of that, Jeremy Thomas, said, David, I can't go out there with a script that's that short. So I said, okay, I'll change the margins, which you can really do easily in Screenwriter. And suddenly it was like a 90-page script, and so that was acceptable. But it was the same number of words. So cheat, lie, manipulate, that's movies, but in a sort of honest way.
Next, yes, can we get a mic down here? or unless somebody already has the mic. Yeah, there we go.
I found it curious that your main character, Eric, was obsessed with knowing how old everyone was. He asked everybody, how old are you? And they asked him, too. Can you speak to those references of age in the film? You've got some 20s and you've got some 40s.
How old are you, by the way?
I knew you were.
We were all talking about what our favorite question to be asked was, and mine was, you look old enough to retire, why don't you? That would be, yes, I think that is all from the novel, and therefore I'm just interpreting it because I didn't talk to Don DeLillo about it, but I think the obsession with youth and with freshness and with the invulnerability of youth and being a brilliant young guy and all of that stuff, and then you know, I mean, it certainly has resonance. There was a time when I was the youngest guy on my own film sets, you know, and then now I make sure there's at least one really old guy. And it doesn't matter, I work with the same cameraman only because he's older than I am, so I know I'm safe there. But I think it's really just that, you know. And then, of course, numbers. You know, I mean, this is a guy who's obsessed with numbers and statistics, and although you don't get into that in the movie or the book, but you can imagine that he would start to think about what his life expectancy might be, you know, given when he was born and what his age was and how that would compare with the younger guys that he's working with and all of that. I think I don't think there's more to it than that, but that's a lot, actually.